What's going on, guys? Let me know if you can hear me. How's everybody doing? Let me know if you can hear me well. Okay, looks like you guys can hear me. Michelle Davis, Mary T. Peggy McGuire, USN Seals. Eternal Vigilance, Smoking Swamp Outdoors. Earth Angel Anna, good to see you. Devin Michael, how's it going, Devin Michael? T.W. Perry. Thanks to all the moderators for showing up. So I was actually going to record a video, but it was so late I figured I would just go live and do a quick live update. So I'm going to do a quick live update, and after the live update, maybe we'll hang out a little bit and talk, and maybe we'll look at some of the nuclear bases in Russia. We'll talk about NATO's nuclear weapons program. So that's what this stream is going to be about. Charles and Christina, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. So I'm just going to give it like maybe a couple minutes, 5 minutes or so for everybody to join in because the stream just started now. So just going to give it about 5 minutes or so before I start. So stand by, and I'm going to give you guys a full news update. I'll let you guys know some of the latest breaking news. And then we'll look at NATO's nuclear weapons. We'll look at Russian nuclear weapons. And then we'll call it a night. I'm not going to do a long stream tonight because it's very late, and I'm sure you guys are also burnt out from last week, staying up all night listening to culinary. So stand by, and we'll get started in a couple of minutes here. Alright guys, so I think I'm going to get started here. I'm just going to start off with some of the latest headlines. Just want to let you guys know that we do have some activity picking up with the emergency action messages tonight. It's nothing super crazy, but I did notice there was a slight uptick in emergency action messages tonight. So I'm going to just give you guys a news update now, share some of the latest breaking news that I have. So what you're looking at here are some U.S. nuclear war command and control planes, and also we have a combat sentinel plane in the air, and this is happening right now. We have a U.S. nuclear war command and control plane over Southern California, and it's pretty late at night for there to be a nuclear war command and control plane. But what actually really got me concerned a little bit here is this combat scent plane, which is now over Oklahoma, and it actually took off from Offutt Air Base, which is home of U.S. Strategic Command. And for there to be one of these up over the U.S. is pretty unusual. And the reason why is there's only 2 of these planes in the U.S. military, and they're used for providing intelligence information directly to the President and the Joint Chiefs of Staff. So we only have 2 of them, and if one of them is up in the air somewhere, it means that something is going on. And so what's interesting is it was kind of hugging the coast here, the Gulf Coast, okay? And then also we had a P-8 Poseidon leave Dallas. At this hour, it's pretty unusual to see a P-8 Poseidon to go out of Dallas and head straight for the Gulf. I mean, this thing went straight out into the Gulf. This was just about 30 minutes ago. It actually disappeared from the flight tracker. But this could be an indication that there is maybe a Russian sub potentially in the Gulf of Mexico or something going on over here for there to be a combat sentinel plane to be flying along the Gulf Coast like this, and then on top of that a P-8 Poseidon going out this late at night is pretty unusual. Usually these combat sentinel planes are sent overseas. They usually send them to Asia or to Eastern Europe. So this is pretty alarming. I'm not saying with 100% certainty that there's a Russian sub here. I'm just speculating that there could be a Russian sub here. We know that on Friday there was some unusual activity off the East Coast. I was covering that. We had a nuke sniffer that was flying right off the continental shelf, flying really low along the entire eastern seaboard, which is very strange. They normally send those to Asia. How's it going, Vanessa? Good to see you. T.W. Perry, good to see you. So something's going on here. I'm not sure what, but wanted to just share that with you. Okay. Yeah, those RC-135s are normally up a lot. The Shiner 40, the RC-135, I'm not really worried about that, but this Combat Sentinel plane is definitely kind of, I'm not saying that something's definitely happening or something serious is happening. It's just something to be aware of. Could mean that something's going on here in the Gulf. And then this P-8 went straight out into the Gulf by itself. So wanted to share that with you. A P-8 Poseidon is a sub-Hunter plane. And also another concerning thing tonight that I noticed when I was getting ready to film a video, which now I'm going live instead, is we had 5 C5 Galaxies go to, it appears they went to Qatar and Saudi Arabia. 3 C5 Galaxies, guys, 3 of them. The C5 Galaxies are the largest military cargo plane in the U.S. military, so for 3 of them to go to Qatar is kind of concerning. It means that they moved some serious hardware to one of our bases in Qatar. Okay, and so I don't know if that was, air defense missiles. I don't know if it was, whatever. But, 3 C5 Galaxies leaving Qatar, that's pretty unusual. to have 3 of them leaving basically at the same time from the same base. Okay, so wanted to mention that. Somebody said Duramax News has a concerning message. Can you tell me what that message is? I don't have time to check on that myself right now. I'm sorry. So if you could post it in the chat. The Poseidon torpedo is a salted nuclear weapon that can destroy the port of New Orleans. Yes, supposedly, the Poseidon can do that. We don't know because they've never actually tested a Poseidon. Remember, the Poseidon is a theoretical weapon. It hasn't actually been tested. Okay, they've never actually detonated a Poseidon. Okay, I'm talking about a Poseidon torpedo, not the P-8 Poseidon sub-Hunter plane for the U.S. They've never actually detonated and tested one of those Poseidon torpedoes. So as far as we know, it could be all a bunch of BS. You know, it could be like Hitler's wonder weapons. You know, like Hitler was trying to build all these crazy weapons, anti-gravity and stuff like that. You know, Nazi UFOs. You know, it could be similar to that. What's going on, Hudson Valley Prepping and Survival? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. So let me just continue with some of the news here. So that's pretty concerning, okay? And I want to just share the latest information that I have. So this really caught my attention tonight. So earlier today, I mentioned to you guys that the Polish president said that he was ready, or that Poland is ready to become a member of NATO's nuclear weapons sharing mission. And he said that talks between the US and Poland and NATO have been ongoing about this since last year, since he proposed it to Biden last year. So the talks are still ongoing, which means if the talks are ongoing, obviously that means they're seriously considering it, because they haven't said no to Poland, okay? And so that's pretty interesting, the fact that he said talks are still ongoing. But what made me really more concerned is that, well, not concerned, but, I guess more serious, the situation is more serious now, is that the Polish Prime Minister is now going to be meeting with the Polish President to discuss hosting NATO nuclear weapons. So Polish President says that they're ready, and there's been ongoing talks to host NATO nukes. And then also the Polish President met with Trump at, I don't know, Trump Tower or one of Trump's buildings. They had a personal meeting, and they had dinner. They had a meeting and dinner, and the Polish president and Trump get along very, very well. And I'm just thinking that potentially Trump and the Polish president talked about, hosting NATO nuclear weapons, or maybe there's something ongoing now with the Biden administration. But for the Polish prime minister to actually urgently, it was stated in Polish media that they're going to be urgently meeting about this topic. So that's huge, okay? So it's very possible that Poland could now become a member of NATO's nuclear weapons sharing program. And for those of you guys who don't know how that works, okay, the way it works is that these are American nuclear weapons. They're B-61 gravity bombs, so they're actually just, dummy bombs that they just drop from fighter jets. They do have some fins that can steer the bomb a little bit, so they are pretty accurate. They do have a massive blast yield. The latest version that we have is the Mod 11 and the Mod 12. And the Mod 11 has a 375 kiloton warhead. And the Mod 12 has a smaller warhead, but they're going to build a new mod, the Mod 13, which is going to be like a combination of the Mod 12, which is smaller warhead but very accurate, versus the older, I think it's either Mod 11 or like Mod 6, I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, But then the other one, that's the older one, that's like 30 years old, that has the massive blast yield, 375 kiloton. They're going to combine basically the accuracy of the new one with the blast yield of the old one into the Mod 13. And so NATO officially, I believe they have 200 of these. It's going to be either 200 or 300 officially. They used to have 500 of them, but these are American nuclear weapons, and multiple countries have them in Europe already. Germany, Belgium, Italy, Turkey, the Netherlands, and Greece. Okay, Greece is also part of the nuclear sharing mission. So this would be huge. This would be a major move by NATO and by the United States. Okay, this would be a major move. All right, and Poland is actually already part of what they call SNOWCAT, which is like supporting a nuclear strike mission without formally being part of it. So Poland, their fighter jets and whatever, they would be able to, let's say, escort the fighter jets from Germany or something as they go on a strike mission, but they're not going to have their own nukes. But now Poland is going to get their own nukes, potentially, is what it sounds like. So that's a pretty serious move, and wanted to share that with you. Also, the Hungarian foreign minister said today that preparations for a world war are intensifying in Brussels. He said this today after an EU meeting. It was the EU Foreign and Defense Ministers meeting, okay, which was called to discuss the situation in the Middle East and Ukraine. It was an urgent meeting of the EU Foreign and Defense Ministers. So the Hungarian foreign minister said that preparations for a world war are intensifying in Brussels, okay? So that's very concerning. And Hungary is going to block the EU's $2 billion military aid package to Ukraine. The Minister of Foreign Affairs said, Hungary's position remains unchanged until we receive a guarantee from the Ukrainian side that Kiev will stop persecuting Hungarian companies. We will not be able to facilitate the adoption of any decisions regarding Ukraine. So they're claiming that Ukraine is persecuting Hungarian companies. And the British Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, will announce a £500 million military aid package to Ukraine during a visit to Poland this week. Apparently it's going to include 400 military vehicles, 1,600 munitions, including Storm Shadow missiles, and 4 million rounds of ammo, and 1,600 strike and air defense missiles. Okay, 1,600 strike and air defense missiles. So massive military aid package to Ukraine from Britain. We also have that big military package here in the U.S. that the Senate is going to be voting on this week, $60 billion. And from what I'm hearing, this is going to be the largest military aid package for Ukraine yet. And there's going to be a lot of stuff in this package. So, it could potentially make enough of a difference so that Ukraine doesn't completely have their front lines collapse. Okay. Robert Paulson, thank you for the donation. How much would a decent midline mobile radio that is SHTF useful run me? Specifically one I could also broadcast from. I have an emergency radio with with shortwave and wideband, but it was inexpensive. Appreciate you. Yeah, I would just get a good quality handheld ham radio for now. Eventually it would be nice if you set up a base station, but get a decent quality ham radio. Even like the Baofangs, I know, they're cheap, but they actually work really well. Even if you start out with a Baofang, and you can use that as like your training radio or your practice radio or your radio that you just mess around with. and then get like a better radio for when SHTF happens, and that's the one you don't really use too much so you don't, damage it or something. But I personally have a Yaesu, and I have a bunch of Baofangs. I like the Yaesu radios. They're Japanese. They're a little more expensive, but they're worth it because they're high quality. They have a bunch of waterproof ones, like the one I have is a submersible ham radio, so you can literally drop it in a lake and nothing's going to happen to it. So that's something you definitely want to have for SHTF. A thing about ham radios a lot of people don't understand is that they're reliant on the repeater towers. So even if there is a SHTF grid down situation, even if you have a ham radio, if your repeaters in the area are not working, then it's not going to help you. So, the repeaters are reliant on electricity for them to work. And if you don't have a repeater tower, then, you're just going off of your own, whatever you have. In this case, let's say a handheld radio, you're not going to be able to transmit that far, maybe 5 to 15 miles, depending on the terrain and the weather. Unless your repeater, your local ham radio club, if they have, let's say, a plan in place for power outages or long-term grid down situations, they have fuel and a generator to keep the repeater running. But otherwise, it's not like a magic bullet, like, oh, I have a ham radio, now I can communicate with people across the world or across the other side of America. It doesn't work that way. Even with the repeaters up, you can't do that, So when the repeaters go down, like if it's a nuclear war, the repeaters are going to go down. I would say very few repeaters are going to actually be running unless you have some very, prepper-minded ham radio clubs that have generators and fuel stocked up. Even then, with a generator, how long are you going to be able to run that generator to keep the repeater running? So that's something to consider. That's why a good base station is important, because with a good base station, you have a lot of transmitting power, so you can reach out a lot further with a nice strong base station versus a handheld, 5 to 15 miles maybe, without a repeater, So hopefully that answered your question. Deidre Dennis, thank you for the donation. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to keep us updated. No problem. Wish I was home. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. So I'm going to continue with the breaking news here. Greece is willing to donate 1 or 2 Patriot systems to Ukraine, but only if the U.S. gives safety guarantees against a Turkish attack. So Greece willing to donate 1 or 2 Patriot missile systems. That's pretty serious. And a Greek government source says that such guarantees are now being offered by the U.S. So it looks like Greece is going to give Ukraine 1 or 2 Patriot missile batteries. So that's pretty good. And according to various intelligence, Russia has concentrated 25,000 soldiers near Chasiv Yar in eastern Ukraine, which is one of the key cities now in eastern Ukraine. And they're going to try to capture it before the Russian Victory Day, where Russia celebrates their victory over the Nazis in World War II. And Russian forces have already captured another village today called Ocheretine in eastern Ukraine. So the Russians are making small gains, incremental gains, like I've been showing you guys over the past couple of weeks. And Moldovan Secret Service officers detained the leader of the pro-Russian Renaissance Party. Okay, so Moldova has a pro-Russian party, and the Moldovan secret police apparently detained the leader of this pro-Russian party. So potentially that could inflame tensions between Russia and Moldova. And some interesting news coming out of Chechnya. Apparently Ramzan Kadyrov, the leader of Chechnya, has apparently been suffering from pancreatic necrosis. and he's already chosen a successor. Apparently, a commander of the local Spetsnaz, Apti Aladinov, is going to be his successor. So Ramzan Kadyrov, apparently suffering from pancreatic necrosis. Okay, he was one of the big cheerleaders for Vladimir Putin in the beginning of the war in Ukraine. He sent his Chechen fighters to fight in Ukraine, and they all got slaughtered by the Ukrainian military, and his forces got utterly humiliated. Looks like he's suffering from pancreatic necrosis. So very interesting, and he has chosen a local Spetsnaz commander to take charge if something happens to him. Okay, and this is being reported by PAP News. And hackers targeted a wastewater treatment plant in Indiana on Friday evening, prompting plant managers to send maintenance personnel to investigate the suspicious activity. A local official told CNN a Russian-linked hacking group claimed responsibility. The same group claimed credit for a string of hacking incidents against water facilities in Texas earlier this year. So Russian hackers hacked into a wastewater treatment plant in Indiana. And Russian hackers are also claiming that that earlier this year they remotely accessed a Texas town's water tower. The suspected hack in the Texas Panhandle town in January would be the first ever disruption of a U.S. drinking water system by Russia after Iran and China carried out similar attacks. The hack in Muleshoe, a community of 5,000 not far from the New Mexico border, led to the town overflowing with thousands of gallons for almost an hour, leading to a state of emergency to be declared. The hacking group, allied with the Russian government, identified themselves as the Cyber Army of Russia Reborn. The group posted a video on Telegram of the town's water control systems being manipulated, showing how they reset the controls. So this is a big fear of mine, guys. Big concern is that, the Chinese, the Iranians, the Russians, they've built back doors into all of our critical infrastructure, okay? And this is not just me, NY Prepper, speculating, okay? This is actually information that was reported to us by the Director of National Intelligence last fall in a hearing, okay? He said that China has built back doors into all of our critical infrastructure, and if there were a war with Taiwan, they could literally just log into all of our infrastructure and just start messing with everything, messing with controls, opening things, closing things, overheating things. Okay, I remember, I think it was 5 or 10 years ago, near New York City, there was a dam just north of New York City in Westchester County, New York. There was a dam where the Iranians hacked into this dam, and they were trying to mess with the dam to open the spill gates or whatever and flood the whole area there. And this was just some tiny little no name dam that nobody's ever heard of, and usually those are the ones that have the least security because nobody thinks they would ever be targeted, And so these hackers hacked into this dam, in some tiny little dam, but it was holding back a lot of water. Luckily, the hackers never did anything. Somehow that their plans failed, but this is very concerning, guys. Okay, in January, Russian hackers hacked into a Texas town's water supply system, a water tower, and caused 5,000 or thousands of gallons to overflow in an hour, leading to a local state of emergency. Okay, and then they also hacked into this wastewater treatment plant in Indiana. All right. So, and how many of these incidents occur every single day that we're not told about, that's not reported to the news? I'm sure it's a lot higher. Okay. So, this is something we need to be prepared for, is potentially a massive cyber attack that could take down our power grid, overload electrical circuits at power plants, and cause meltdowns at nuclear power plants, and open dam spill gates, whatever, substation controllers, oil refineries. I mean, all of these critical infrastructures, they are all connected to the internet these days to make it easier for the operators to run the machines, so they don't have to like sit there and stand, by each controller and, oh, we want to open this gate, so we got to push this lever up, and then we want to close this gate, so we got to walk around the other side of the plant and push this lever down. That's how they did it like 50 years ago, which is safer. But now everything is connected, to the internet, to computers, and these power plant operators, they can literally sit on their computer and they monitor every single control, and they can just adjust everything from their computer, But the danger is obviously if they get into that system, then they can totally, they basically have full power over like an entire power plant. They could shut the power plant down. They could overload the circuit and cause, the transformers to blow. They could do all kinds of things, sending a big power surge, throughout an area. So this is something we need to be prepared for, guys. Okay. Yeah, Redivis has good radios. Yes, Redivis, they have really good radios. Highly recommend Redivis, is good too. Greg, you are correct. They have hardware chips that are not part of the original equipment. Right. And then, another thing that really freaks me out is how everything is made in China now. A lot of electronics and different things are made in China. And, what if the Chinese are putting like tiny little chips in everything and they're spying on us that way? You know what I mean? Because we buy all kinds of electronics from China. And, all these different devices, they could have just a little chip in there that monitors everything we do, and they collect all this data and then they process it. There was actually an entire movie about that. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it was literally how the Chinese installed like chips in everybody's cell phones, and they were like secretly monitoring us for years and we didn't know about it. And they had like chips installed and everything, our infrastructure, and then one day they just turned everything off, and everything just went dark. The power was turned off, communications was turned off. So just something to think about. I'm not saying that that's going to happen right away or whatever, but it's just something to think about. So also I want to update you guys on North Korea, because North Korea tested a missile yesterday. So we have some new updates. Apparently North Korea said today that its leader Kim Jong-un has guided tactical drills simulating a nuclear counterattack involving a super large multiple rocket launcher for the first time. The announcement came a day after South Korea said that the North fired several short-range ballistic missiles from the Pyongyang region. They flew about 300 kilometers before falling into the East Sea. The North's main newspaper, Rodong Sinmun, said the drills were conducted within a national nuclear weapons management system as it denounced recent joint military drills by South Korea and the United States. Monday's launch came just 3 days after the North conducted what it claimed to be a super large warhead power test for a strategic cruise missile, and test fired a new anti-aircraft missile in the Yellow Sea. Wow. So the North tested a lot of stuff in the past few days. It's just we didn't hear about it because everything was focused on Israel, but looks like the North tested a new super large warhead or something. They tested a new strategic cruise missile, a new anti-aircraft missile, and then the leader of North Korea, guided tactical drills simulating a nuclear counterattack involving super large multiple rocket launchers for the first time. Okay, so things on the Korean Peninsula are escalating. We need to be prepared for something to kick off over there. I think it's just a matter of time. And this evening, we have total chaos in New York City, in the New York University and Columbia University. These are Ivy League schools. There's a bunch of these pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas protesters that set up some kind of illegal encampment on city property, and New York City police came and tried to break it up, and there was like a riot and they were fighting with police. I'm sure it's probably still ongoing right now, but you know, I wish I could share video footage, but unfortunately I cannot because of the guidelines here on YouTube. I can't show any footage of something like that, but I mean, it was pretty intense that, you know, just, you know, probably hundreds of New York City cops in riot gear going to these Ivy League schools and, you know, clashing with these pro-Palestinian protesters and these students and faculty that were like setting up this camp. It's just really bizarre. And then they were also blocking Jewish students from moving around freely around the campus. Okay, I showed you guys a video of that earlier today. Today's the first day of Passover, okay? And they were forming human chains to try to block Jewish students on the first day of Passover, guys. This is happening, you know, not in, you know, Saudi Arabia somewhere or, you know, Turkey. This is happening right here in America, okay? We have these crazy students and faculty and pro-Palestinian protesters that are literally blocking Jewish students from moving around, shouting things at them on the first day of Passover, guys. That is a bad sign. That means we are definitely, you know, we're getting close to the tribulation potentially, you know. This hatred of Israel, hatred of Jews, you know, it's getting worse and worse. It's really disgusting and despicable, you know, that they would block Jewish students from moving around freely. Could you imagine if that happened to them? I mean, you would probably see all our favorite politicians, you know, just shouting about it, you know, but meanwhile the Jewish students are blocked. And where's, you know, AOC or some of these other lunatics, you know, where are they? Are they saying anything about it? No. So this is very, very concerning, guys. So that's ongoing right now. Apparently there were a bunch of professors and faculty that were arrested there. I'm going to see if I can't share some more footage. Apparently there's been also like protests in California, in California State Polytechnic University. There were also pro-Palestinian protesters that were blocking, you know, the school and stuff like that. Just absolutely insane. Some of the footage coming out of New York City is just absolutely crazy. When the cops came to try to break everything up, it was just absolutely crazy. So here we have some video footage coming out of Kharkiv, Ukraine, and it shows this big radio tower slash cell tower, comms tower that was hit by Russian rockets. I want to show you guys this. This is important, not so much because, you know, the target itself, it's just a radio tower, but it's also a huge radio tower that the Ukrainian military can use to communicate. And so this is a sign that potentially Russia may be going after Kharkiv soon. They may try to start some kind of offensive there. If they're trying to take out this comms tower, that's usually the first thing you do before you go in somewhere. You know, you take the comms out. And so let me just play this video. This massive tower. Look at that, guys. You can see half of that tower just falling down. It got hit by a missile or rocket. I'm not exactly sure. But a huge, huge tower. I mean, look at that thing. So this is a sign that, Russia is planning something in Kharkiv. And, that is just absolutely insane. Just see what you guys are saying here in the chat. Devin Michael says that's disgusting. CNN, the least trusted news in human history. Fox News, CNN, CBS are all bought by the government. Kayla Paul says Jewish students have been told not to come to school and they're now doing remote learning. Wow. Just absolutely crazy. That's ridiculous. Major anti-Semitism, Peggy. That's right. What's going on, Rodney Middleton? And I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything about the red heifer today. I haven't had a chance to check into that because there's been so many other things going on. God's soldiers, have you heard anything about the red heifer today? My guess is they probably did it because I'm seeing here multiple sources saying that they prepared to slaughter red heifers. So I'm pretty sure they did it. So that would be a huge, huge Bible prophecy fulfillment. No, not yet. Okay, so someone said no, not yet. Okay. Scott says $70,000 a year for remote learning. Right. They said they were preparing to do it, so I don't know. Laura Miller, good to see you, Laura Miller. I hope the fishing is good over there on Cape Hatteras. Amir said that it's fake news. What's fake news? The red heifer? They will do the sacrifice secretly, invite only. I don't think they did kill the heifers. Okay. So let me just show you guys some other stuff here. This is coming out of Belgorod. This is in Russia. And looks like we have some shelling going on over there this evening. And I don't know if this is the Russian partisans that are still fighting over there, or if this is, Russia shelling their own area to try to clear the partisans out. But looks like there's still some stuff going on over there in Belgorod. Let me just play this for you. You'll hear some rumbles in the background. Those are the shells. Some pretty big kabooms there. Let's listen to that again. They're pretty big. Carrie Fitzsimmons says, hey Greg, a couple of suggestions for your culinary t-shirt. Culinary, your eyes in the skies, or never fear, culinary is here. That's a good one. I'm going to write that down. I'm writing that down right now. That's a good idea. I like that. I could make several different shirts. I could make like 3 different designs for that. I can make like 3 different designs. I had a couple of good ideas for Culinary. Culinary's like the new Chuck Norris. You know, he's like the new Chuck Norris. He's replacing Chuck Norris. Jay Miskinis, sounds good, Jay Miskinis. I'm going to check my email. Were there any Skymasters? No, there weren't any Skymasters today. I'm going to turn the radio on in a second here once I'm done with the news update, and we can listen and see if anything comes across. No Skymasters today, though. Yeah, Culinary was a total badass. I totally agree. You would think in a serious situation they probably picked the most experienced operators to run the radios in that situation. So maybe he's probably a more experienced operator. That's why he was so calm, you know. What's going on, Mary Calloway? Iowa Off-Road says Fryum Culinary. High altitude balloon near the Bahamas. I think those balloons are always there. Culinary for president. I'd love to meet Culinary and shake his hand and interview him. That would be cool. That would be cool. Culinary would probably be, I would imagine he would probably be Air Force. Because I think he was broadcasting from Offutt Air Base. I would imagine he would be Air Force. I don't think he was on the bombers. Or the... he wasn't on the subs. Or the E6s. One interesting thing about the U.S. Nuclear War Command and Control planes, the E-6 Mercuries are actually operated by the Navy. They're not part of the Air Force. And another interesting thing is that the Minuteman silos are part of the Air Force. They're not part of like the Army. Okay, so the Air Force, when it comes to nuclear war, the Air Force is responsible for the bomber fleet, which is B-52s, B-1s, and B-2s, and potentially any tactical fighter jets, tactical nuclear fighter jets like F-35s, F-22s, F-15s, F-16s, F-18s. And then they're also responsible for the Minuteman silos. And then the Navy is responsible for the boomers, which are the nuclear-armed subs, the Ohio-class subs. So that's basically who's in control of what. But the Nuclear War Command and Control planes, which are basically like a flying, radio tower. You can think of them as like a flying radio tower. They're actually part of the Navy and not the Air Force. So just keep that in mind. It's just an interesting little fact. Cherry says, I'm getting out of New York City and moving to Binghamton. Yeah, it's a lot less people up there. You're still going to be in a college town. Like SUNY Binghamton is also a lot of liberals there, but at least you have low population, Yeah, Air Force is a real badass. Culinary makes me feel safer. Campbell Clan says, cool hand Culinary. Cool hand Culinary. That's funny. Culinary radio check. Here we have some video footage coming out of Sterling, Virginia today, and it shows a data center.
I'm telling you, it's a data center's on fire or something.
massive data center in Sterling, Virginia. For those of you guys who don't know, Northern Virginia has a ton of data centers. That's where Amazon has all their data centers. The Amazon Web Services, AWS, they have all their main data center. AWS has their main data center in Northern Virginia. And this data center here is on fire. I don't know who owns this data center, but you can see it's a monster data center. I personally think it was sabotage. On Friday we had the Canadian Forces base Goose Bay catch fire. They had to declare a state of emergency because of all the weapons that were stored there. I don't think that was a coincidence. I think that was an act of sabotage by sleeper cells of some kind. And then today we have this data center on fire. So let me just play this for you.
Holy crap.
That building, right? Practicing recycling and composting programs. It also
District to build the seat of Congressman David Trone. What's going on there?
right. Of course, David Trone is running.
Look at that, guys. That's freaking insane. What's going on, John Hoover? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, AWS has several data centers in Northern Virginia. That's correct. They have several, but I know that they have their main data center is one of their main data centers is in Northern Virginia. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know there were several. They're building so many new ones, it's hard to keep track. I remember years ago they had like one main center. It was US East, and that was like their main center in Northern Virginia. Now they must have more.
Telling you, it's a data center's on fire or something.
This guy sounds funny the way he says that. It's like a data center on fire or something.
Telling you, it's a data center's on fire or something. Telling you, it's a data center's on fire or something. It's a data center's on fire or something.
Holy crap.
That building, right? It was cool and so they're blocking it.
Holy crap. Holy crap. Holy crap. Holy crap.
That building, right? It was cool and so they're blocking it. Practicing recycling and
Yeah, that dude is chill. He's just like, it's just a data center on fire or something.
composting programs. It also
District to build the seat of Congressman David Trone. What's going on there?
right. Of course, David Trone is running.
Yeah, this is in Sterling, Virginia. It's Northern Virginia. It's a massive data center. We don't know exactly which data center is affected, but monster fire there earlier today. Look at that thing. Just absolutely insane. What's going on, Ingrid Perez? Good to see you. Yeah, very toxic smoke. Definitely very toxic smoke. Super chill and a southern twang. Yeah, that was funny.
Telling you, it's a data center's on fire or something. Telling you, it's a data center's on fire or something.
It's just funny. I don't know why that's funny. He's just so relaxing the way he's like, just says it like it's no big deal. Like it's just a bird flying across the road or something. Yeah, 3-letter agencies. Oh, here we have a video that was posted by those Russian hackers showing them messing with the controls of this, looks like some kind of water facility in Texas. So they actually screen recorded themselves messing with this water supply in Texas here. This was in January. This is that water tower in that small town in the Texas Panhandle. Look, you see them messing with the wells. You see tower pressure, wells, boosters, and you can see them, you know, clicking different things. And this is exactly how a lot of most of our critical infrastructure, they have these control systems like this. They call them SCADA. They have the SCADA just like this, where everything is hooked into the computer, and they can control everything from the SCADA terminal, you know. So Samantha says your laugh is infectious. That's funny, Samantha. Yeah, it's just funny, some of these things. You got to laugh a little bit, you know. You can't just always be super serious. Yeah, this was in Texas in January. The Russian hacking group hacked into this water tower, and they're messing with stuff here, and it's all they recorded themselves doing it. Yeah, backdoors into everything. That's right. Shut the front door. Yeah, that's right. Shut the front door. Do I live off grid? No. If I was off grid, I wouldn't be able to hold a live stream right now. If I was truly off grid, like a lot of people call themselves off grid, they say I'm an off gridder, but yet they have computer, they're doing live streams every night, but they're calling themselves off grid. You know, off grid means off grid, you know, no connection, you know, maybe satellite internet or something. That's maybe off. That's what I consider off grid. And if you have satellite internet, you're not going to be able to hold a stream. So no, I'm not off grid. I just live in the countryside. You don't have to live off grid in order to be prepared. In fact, living off grid has a lot more challenges to it. You know, it's a lot more complicated and difficult. Best thing is to be in a small town, a small town with low crime, with a lot of patriotic Americans. That's your best bet. Titan Intel says partial grid, right? Partial grid. Aaron Worley says gifted. Oh, Aaron Worley, thank you for gifting 20 memberships. You know, it's funny, there's a lot of these big off-grid channels. I don't want to mention any names, but some of them have like 1 million subscribers. You know, these off-grid channels, you know, they have these like really nice editing, and, you know, I'm watching them like stack their firewood, and the firewood is like perfectly clean and cut just like they measured it with a tape measure, so it's like exactly, you know, the same length and perfectly straight grain wood. It just doesn't seem real to me. I feel like some of these off-grid channels are not truly off-grid, you know. It just doesn't appear that way to me, you know. And they all look very clean. They, you know, their skin looks nice, like they just took a shower right before they filmed. You know, it doesn't seem genuine, some of those off-grid channels. Not all of them, but some of them you got to be wary about, you know. What's going on, Cats Don't Care? Good to see you in here. So right, Greg. Yeah, I mean, some of these channels are good, but some of them it just doesn't seem like real, you know. It's just like, it's like they just stage everything for the video, essentially. As soon as they're done filming the video, they go home, take a hot shower, and go to sleep, you know. PJ Child of God says, I live among Amish, so I'm good. Yeah, the real off-gridders are Amish people. You know, before this whole off-grid craze started on YouTube, you know, everybody calling themselves an off-gridder. I mean, the Amish people were like the original off-gridders. Nobody really talked about them. But, you know, I have Amish people in my area. I see them every day. And, you know, they're truly off-grid. The other day I was watching these Amish guys. They had a horse with, you know, a tiller, and they had this huge field that they had to till, and they were doing it with like this small tiller that was like 4 feet wide, and you look at the size of this field, it's like 200-300 acres, and they have this tiny little tiller, to turn up the soil in the spring, and they had just one horse, and they were just going, this one guy was just going back and forth. That's like true off-grid. It's a big sacrifice to live like that, and you have to know what you're doing. The Amish people, they've done that for generations, so they know what they're doing. You take some guy from Manhattan who says, oh, I want to be an off-gridder, and you put him in an off-grid situation, he's gonna be shocked. It's not as romantic as it seems. The Amish around here have cell phones and definitely don't live off-grid. Yeah, it depends on which Amish. There's a spectrum. Some Amish people are very off-grid, some people are not. Depends on the different types of Amish. Some are very like hardcore, some are less hardcore. But yeah, it is true. There are a lot of Amish people. Like I see them at the store, at like Home Depot. They, a lot of the builders around here, actually, like home builders, are Amish. They like, carpenters and stuff. There are a lot of Amish families that have carpentry businesses. So they're always at like Home Depot, and they have their hats, and but wood stoves for cooking, heat like our grandparents did, cutting wood into logs. My grandfather did all of this. Jimmy Rance says, remember the Amish Mafia TV show? No, I didn't. I heard of it. I just never watched it. I gotta watch that. The Amish Mafia. Yeah, Amish people are cool. Cats Don't Care says they planted a huge field of cotton next to my house. Love seeing that every year. It's really cool to see the Amish work. I mean, just seeing how they use these tools that are over 100 years old. It's just so cool to see, It's really cool to see. I've seen them all the time on their buggies down the road. It's actually pretty dangerous. They ride down the road with their buggies, and they have those little oil lanterns, and those oil lanterns are not really that bright, They have like a very dim orange glow, and you're going down like a country road at night, and you can like hit these buggies, like if you're going too fast. There was a couple times I had to like slam on my brakes because I came up on one of them real suddenly. You could barely see them with their little orange. They're supposed to have like reflectors, but you don't really see those reflectors until you get super close. But I see them with the buggies a lot too. It's pretty cool. It's cool to see. So that's the latest breaking news that I have, guys. I'm just going to check the chat and see what you guys are saying, and maybe we'll look at some of the Russian nuclear weapons bases, and maybe read a little bit about the NATO nuclear weapons sharing, if you're interested in that. Other than that, I don't have any other breaking news to report to you, so I'll be back tomorrow with more breaking news. I'll keep an eye on the situation in New York City with the, riots or whatever you want to call them. It looks like it's still ongoing tonight. So this is pretty interesting. We have 2 aerial refuelers here off the coast of San Jose near Monterey Bay here. Check that out. And then the nuclear war command and control plane is right there as well. Will Poland get nukes? I think they will, based on what I'm hearing. Based on all the information I've been hearing, is that they probably will get nukes, because the Polish president is going to be meeting urgently with the Polish prime minister about it. and they've already talked to the U.S. about it. So yeah, I think they're gonna get nukes. Justine says the Ivy League schools don't teach anything relevant anymore. Nobody is against Jewish people. People are against people who have yeah, the Ivy League schools are they've become like, just totally political indoctrination centers, essentially. It sucks, I mean, there's still a lot of benefit to going to an Ivy League school, but they really become like hardcore indoctrinators, hardcore brainwashers. What are my filters on Flight Radar? I have a bunch of different filters. It took me a while to set them up, so I have a lot of different filters. I mostly use, I have a separate filter for doomsday. I call them doomsday planes. These are all like related to nuclear warplanes and stuff. I have a separate filter for that. And then otherwise I just use the military filter. But most of the time I use the doomsday planes filter. So I filter out a lot of like the BS flights that don't really matter, like, T-38 Falcons or some kind of training planes or some BS, that's not really useful. So look, we have another refueler here off of Long Beach. Oh wow, look at this, guys. We have a third refueler popping up. We have three refuelers here off of Monterey Bay and the nuclear warplane right there. That's pretty interesting. And then we have one down here. It's probably some kind of training, but still it's worth watching. It's very interesting. That's a lot of refuelers in one area. So, hang on 1 second, guys. I'll be right back. Just give me 1 minute. I sound rested up. Yeah, I feel better. I definitely had some good sleep over the weekend. So let's just check and see what's going on overseas too right now. Do have this Jake 17 here in the UK. It's about to take off and do some recon over the Baltics and Poland. Yeah, I heard the Amish people have been getting targeted. Yeah, they've been raided a few times. Yep. Oh, the Iran government plane. Yeah, that's the I think that's the president of Iran. He was meeting with the Pakistani government. So I think that's what that's about. Pretty sure he's probably going back to Iran. What's going on, Rip Curl Readiness? I didn't get a chance to see the meteors. No, the CIA is not in Sterling. The CIA is somewhere else. Yeah, they've been raiding the Amish because a lot of the Amish food markets, the organic foods, they've been raiding them, saying that they don't have proper, like certifications for selling food, because they're like grocery stores or restaurants, and you need, like a special certification. So they've been attacking them that way, saying that, oh, you don't have proper permits and approvals and all that stuff. That's one way that they've been going after them. So I figured we could just maybe go over some of the NATO nuclear weapons. It's good for me to brush up on it too. I was going to read about it myself again to brush up on it, but I figured we could just do it together since we're all here. Space weather right now is quiet. We don't have any solar storms. There was a earthquake earlier today. I'm trying to remember, where was that? It was an earthquake. It was like a 6 point something. We're now hearing that the pro-Palestinians are outside the New York City police headquarters right now. Pro-Palestinians are outside of the New York City headquarters. So I'm going to just go over these NATO nuclear weapons together. Let's just check this out here. This is pretty interesting. Says here, in addition, this is coming from the Federation of Atomic Scientists, a Federation of American Scientists, says, in addition to the actual storage and maintenance of nuclear weapons, 7 NATO member states, Belgium, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, the US, as well as Turkey and Greece, contribute dual-capable aircraft to NATO's nuclear mission. These aircraft could be used to deliver nuclear weapons in a conflict. 5 NATO countries currently host a total of 6 bases that store U.S. nuclear bombs in underground storage vaults. Several other bases have empty storage vaults in inactive status. One of these is the RAF Lakenheath in England. So that's inactive vaults that they used to have during the Cold War. They call them the S3 vaults. They're like little mini, like, it's nothing really fancy. It's actually just like in the hangars where the fighter jets are, the fighter jets that are used to deliver the nuclear weapons. In the hangars, they have like these little like storage compartments underground, and when they need to do a nuclear strike, they lift up. It's like this thing that lifts up. It kind of like elevates itself up, and the bombs are exposed, and then they can mount them onto the fighter jet, and then they can just take off right from the hangar. That's kind of the way that they're set up. 6 additional NATO members, the Czech Republic, Denmark, Hungary, Poland, and 2 unknown countries, play a supporting role in NATO's nuclear posture through Snowcat missions, support of nuclear operations with conventional air tactics, alongside the dual-capable aircraft contributing nations. So you have the 6 storage sites. You have the 5 countries or yeah, 7 countries that have the dual capable aircraft. Belgium, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, the US, Turkey, and Greece. And then on top of that, you have 6 additional NATO countries: Czech Republic, Denmark, Hungary, Poland, and 2 unknown countries playing a supporting role. All NATO member states, with the notable exception of France, which also has nuclear weapons of its own, participate in NATO's Nuclear Planning Group, which governs collective policy and decision making over NATO's nuclear mission. So pretty interesting. And they have this list of all the different bases here. So they have one base in Belgium. They have one that's active in Buchel. They had one in Ramstein up until 2005, and then there were some other bases through 1995 that they had other storage there. In Italy, you have Aviano Air Base and Getty Air Base. Netherlands, you have Volkel. In Turkey, you have Incirlik. But look how many bases Turkey had nukes at through like 1991. They had like 5 bases that had nuclear weapons in them. It's pretty insane. Italy still has 2 bases with nukes in them. The UK used to have a bunch, or they had one base that had a bunch, and then Greece used to have them as well. So we've downsized quite a bit, but they're gonna have to rethink that now with everything going on in Eastern Europe. So these are B-61 gravity bombs, guys. B-61 gravity bombs. Here we have a picture showing some kind of facility in Osipovichi in Belarus for storage of nuclear weapons. In May of last year, Russia has nuclear weapons in Belarus now. They have a significant amount. So that's not a good thing. What's going on, Trisha Mills? How's it going, Trisha Mills? Let me turn the radio on here. Let's just read a little more about the NATO nuclear weapons. It's pretty interesting. It's important to know this stuff. Let's see here. Today, approximately 100 U.S. nuclear weapons are estimated to be stored at 6 bases in 5 countries, with one additional base in the UK currently undergoing modernization to potentially store nuclear weapons in the future. So they're probably going to, well, they were talking about a few months ago reopening that nuclear weapons base in the UK, and storing nukes again over there, so I think that's coming. Yeah, Ramstein lost their nukes in 2005. How's it going, Tartan Granny? Good to see you. Sam Rowland says, Greg, you would be proud. My off-grid now has 200-foot deep manual pump wells in case of power loss and to protect from fallout water. Oh, wow. That's really good. That's really good. Yeah, I got to get a manual well pump. Evidence Room says, I'm getting one of those Mason leathers for my son's rifle. Great gift for his birthday. Yeah, check out Mason Leather. I have a promo code. You can get 10% off. Mason Leather is, I personally know the owner, so he makes a really good product. Let me just show you guys. Any of you guys out there are hunters or outdoorsmen, just use the promo code NY10 and you get 10% off. Let me show you Mason Leather. Small business out of Texas, veteran owned. Looks like he's actually got a 15% off sale already. So you might want to see if you could still use my code and see if my code will work on top of the existing code. But looks like he's already got a 15% off sale. But he sells these cartridge cuffs here that hold your spare ammo, and he can make them for any rifle, any cartridge. They fit really nice. They hold the cartridges nice, not too tight, not too loose, just right. So check it out, masonleather.com. And no, he's not a Freemason. It's just there's the owner right there. That's his last name, Mason. That's the name. That's why he calls it Mason Leather. There was some people trolling, saying, "Oh, it's a Freemason. I'm not gonna buy anything named Mason." That's literally the guy's last name. Okay, but yeah, this is cartridge cuffs here. Check them out, masonleather.com. Look at this beautiful leather work here. It's just really nice stuff. He's got stuff here for 22s. 10 round mag pouch for a 1022. That's pretty cool. Lots of cool he's got for 1022s here. Even for shotguns. I mean, he can make them for anything basically. Even looks like he's got one for an AR. Oh, that's for AR. He's even got one for a AR. That's pretty cool. So yeah, masonleather.com. Check them out. Lots of cool stuff there. Can they work on left hand? Yeah, you can specify for left hand. You just when you check out, you just specify left hand, So I don't know if I should shut it down, or you guys want me to hang out a little bit more, or you want me to give you guys a break. I know we've been streaming so much lately. I don't know if you guys need a break or what. Kirk says hang out. Cynthia says hang out. Okay, I'll hang out for a little bit longer. That sounds good. Yeah, Iran 02, that's, let's see, what is Iran 02 doing? That's the Iranian president's plane, I believe. Oh, it looks like, yeah. Interesting, he's descending in altitude here. Maybe he's going to India now or something, or switching planes, or stopping over somewhere. Gumib73, thank you for the support. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm checking Iran right now. Let me see. So yeah, these are the planes over Iran right now. Not a whole lot of planes really. I still think that the airspace in Iran is potentially still closed off. Let me see if they have any NOTAMs here. Just checking to see if there's any NOTAMs for Tehran. Been some new NOTAMs posted over the weekend in Iran. I wish I could understand a lot of it. It's very complex stuff. I'm not a pilot, so I don't understand a lot of these NOTAMs, but there's a lot of these NOTAMs that went up on April the 20th for a temporary traffic orientation scheme. It's like they're kind of changing the traffic temporarily or something. I don't know if there's any pilots in the chat. Temporary traffic orientation scheme. Sounds like they're rerouting traffic or something. So this will be huge. If Poland gets those nukes, that's huge. In June 2023, Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki announced Poland's intention to pursue more direct participation in NATO's nuclear sharing initiatives with the U.S. June 2023 is when they officially requested. They use a variety of different fighter jets for the NATO nuclear mission. They use F-16s. They use F-15s. Peggy McGuire says the next move by whoever is going to be very calculated for sure. Something's going to pop off really soon. I totally agree, yeah. I totally agree. It's just unusual how this whole thing happened with Israel and Iran, and how Israel conducted like kind of a lighter strike. I just don't feel like it's over. It's just something that just doesn't feel right, Just have a weird feeling about it. Special Forces Sky Warden plane east of Jerusalem. Okay. Thanks for sharing. Let me see, where would that be here? East of Jerusalem. Is it this one here? PHI 150? Is that in... No, that's in Jordan. It's just, yeah, it's very strange with everything that happened yesterday, or last week with Skymaster and everything. And then, not only that, but not only that, but we got that news earlier that the New York Times reported that this is a credible source. The New York Times reported that Israel was planning a much broader strike, and they were going to even go after targets around Tehran, the capital. And so now we know why everything happened the way it did on last Wednesday night with the Skymaster messages. Probably because they were planning some kind of massive strike, and then they aborted it at the last minute. And that's why we had all of our nuclear forces on maximum alert. The New York Times already confirmed it. The New York Times said that, well, first of all, Israel was planning to strike twice last week, and then the New York Times reported that Israel was planning like a much larger strike, and then they aborted at the last minute. So, yeah, Array 28. Array 28 is one of the nuclear warplanes. Regina Morgan, good to see you, Regina. Yes, you have been with me for a very long time. I know who you are. And it's nice to see that you're still here, and hope everything is going well. We have also Jimmy Rance in here. Jimmy Rance has been showing up a lot. He's also one of my first few subscribers and personal friend. So Robert Sturm, thank you for gifting 20 memberships. PJ Child of God said people shouldn't bend God's word for their, let me see, what is that? To fit an agenda or to fit a man-made religion. Exactly, yeah, a lot of people twist the Bible to fit their narrative. Irving Goldberg says Watchwoman65 gave you an awesome shout out on her channel earlier today. Keep up the great work. Oh, that's awesome. She shouted me out the day before too. Yeah, that's very kind of her, and I'm very humbled by that. I respect her a lot, and I'm very thankful that she would do that. So that's really cool. Thanks for letting me know. A lot of chant. Someone told me that Mike from around the world shouted me out. I'm gonna try to see if I can get a clip of that. But someone told me Mike from around the world. I'm sure a lot of you guys know who he is. He was on I don't know if he still does Paul Begley anymore. He used to go on Paul Begley all the time. But he's like one of Paul Begley's like geopolitical experts. And he shouted me out apparently. Also Steve Quayle. Steve Quayle's been shouting me out like crazy the last few months, which is crazy, you know, because I used to watch him or listen to him on Coast to Coast AM, and now he's shouting me out. It's just crazy, you know. So that's really cool. Daniel Kelly, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. I hope you're having a good start off to your week. It's already Tuesday. Wow, it's crazy. It's officially Tuesday now. Steve Quayle, thumbs up. Yeah, check out Steve Quayle, stevequayle.com. I'm sure a lot of you guys know who he is. He's done a lot of cool stuff with UFOs. A lot of cool stuff with UFOs. What time is it over there? Right now it's just after midnight. 12:39 a.m. Cats Don't Care says, I used to listen to Steve on shortwave. He had a show on shortwave. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. JD Etheridge says, Adam Marfugel News gave me a shout out also. Oh, wow. That's really cool. I'm very humbled. Someone said there was a Israeli special forces plane somewhere here. I can't find it. I don't know where it is. We got something interesting happening here, though, tonight. We have all these aerial refuelers. Looks like they landed some of them already. Yeah, we have this nuclear war command and control plane just going up and down the Pacific Northwest here. Oregon, Washington, California. Pretty interesting. Do I think that Russia will eventually pop off in the Suwalki Gap? Yes, I do. I do think something's going to happen there. Poland and Lithuania are doing joint training exercises there very soon. They're going to be doing joint training exercises in the Suwalki Gap, and it's going to be overseen by the Polish president and the Lithuanian president. So, yes, I think something's brewing there. I still think that something could happen there, and we have to be on alert for that. Let me just check and see what's going on in New York City. Campbell Clan says, God is guiding you. Just keep answering him. Thank you, Campbell. I appreciate it. Thank you, Kirk Stokes. Well, you do the work, Greg, the research. Hats off to you. Thank you, Kirk. I appreciate that. Thank you. Ton Up Recycling says, everyone is shouting you out. You and Culinary are legendary. That's funny. I don't want to just be known for that one night, you know. I hope that's not all I'm known for. But, you know, yeah, I know. The Balikatan exercise is ongoing in the Philippines. Yes, that big exercise is ongoing in the Philippines right now. Thousands of troops, American and Philippine troops. I'm hearing says several thousand, the largest ever. So the Philippines and the U.S. are conducting their largest exercise ever, basically, together right now. Phoenix says, loud aircraft just flew by my house. Oh, wow. Sky Painter Boomy Tune says that night was a great eye opener, a peek behind the scenes. Yes, right. It's a peek behind the scenes, exactly. That's what's so crazy about it, is that most people probably had no idea what was going on, that night. People were just going about their daily lives, and they didn't even know that we were potentially on the verge of nuclear war, It's just crazy to think about. And how many times does that happen? It probably happens a lot more times than we'll ever know. Everything like that is kept secret, any kind of situation like that. There's probably, I'm sure, a lot of situations that we'll never know about, where we came close to just, the brink of nuclear war, and we'll just never know about it, So let's just read a little bit more about these NATO nuclear weapons. It's pretty interesting here. I wanted to just share with you guys some stuff here about all the different bases they have. Like, they have this base here in Belgium. Belgium has 10 to 15 B-61s for delivery by Belgian F-16s. Volkel Air Base hosts an estimated 10 to 15 B-61 gravity bombs for delivery by Dutch F-16 MLU. There are 32 protective aircraft shelters at Volkel Air Base, 11 of which are equipped with WS-3s. WS-3 is the vaults for nuclear weapon storage. Let's see, Buchel Air Base hosts 10 to 15 US B-61s for delivery by German PA-200 Tornado aircraft. So Germany uses their Tornado aircraft for delivering nukes. Same thing with Italy. Italy has Tornadoes as well, 10 to 15 in Italy. In Turkey has the most, it looks like. Turkey has 20 to 30 US B-61s for delivery by US aircraft. However, Turkey does not allow the US to permanently base its bomber aircraft at Incirlik. So, you know how we moved those B-1s to Turkey a week ago? And I was warning you guys that that was a precaution in case things escalated in the Middle East. And a lot of people were saying I was fear-mongering. Well, no, I wasn't, because if they're moving B-1s to Incirlik in Turkey, it says right here that the nuclear weapons in Turkey are for delivery by U.S. aircraft, not by Turkish aircraft. Unlike other countries that do the nuclear sharing program, they have their own jets that can deliver the weapons. But in Turkey, and I think also Greece as well, Greece, they don't actually deliver them, they just store them in Greece and also in Turkey. So when we moved those B-1s like 2 weeks ago, right before Iran struck Israel, that they definitely moved them there because they knew that those B-61 nuclear bombs were there, and if something escalated, they could bomb the crap out of Iran. It says here in 2015, a new security perimeter was constructed around 21 protective aircraft shelters within Incirlik Air Base, suggesting that these are currently active. So they have 21 aircraft shelters. That's a lot. Despite reports that the Pentagon has previously reviewed plans for removing nuclear weapons from Turkey due to security concerns, the nuclear mission was heavily implied to still be in effect at Incirlik Air Base as recently as July 2023, when USAFE A-10 senior leaders visited Incirlik to discuss the surety mission and the role that Incirlik plays in strategic deterrence. So, yeah, so Turkey has a massive amount of nuclear weapons. They have more than Germany and Italy and, you know, a lot of Western European countries. But they're all there for us to use. Turkey doesn't use them. So if you see bombers going to Turkey, then that's a red flag. You know, that's a red flag that they're moving the bombers in the theater. NATO itself has no ownership of nuclear weapons and therefore no authority to launch them. This decision can only be made by the leaders of its nuclear-armed member states, and particularly by the U.S., which retains ownership and authority over the B-61 gravity bombs that are assigned to NATO dual-capable aircraft. So the U.S. still has control over the nuclear bombs in NATO. It's not like NATO has control over them. The U.S. has control of them, and the NATO nuclear-armed states vote on whether to use them or not in a crisis, basically. A NATO fact sheet published in 2022 noted that a nuclear mission can only be undertaken after explicit political approval is given by NATO's Nuclear Planning Group and authorization is received from the US and the UK Prime Minister. It is unclear, however, why the UK Prime Minister would be necessary to authorize the release of US nuclear weapons. Moreover, this degree of consultation would likely face significant challenges during an actual conflict. So that's pretty interesting. In order for NATO to actually use these nukes, they need approval by the U.S., approval by the U.S. President, then they need approval by the UK Prime Minister, and then they need approval by NATO's Nuclear Planning Group. So that's a lot of steps. So that's pretty insane, guys. It's a lot of steps to go through. Throughout the early Cold War, NATO allies continuously sought assurances from the U.S. that its nuclear weapons would not be used without prior consultation. For its part, the U.S. sought to preserve its own freedom of action as well as its position that no president would allow a veto power over U.S. nuclear use. This push and pull dynamic eventually resulted in the 1962 Athens Guidelines, in which NATO allies acknowledged that possibilities for consultation would likely be extremely limited in the event of a nuclear crisis, but that the U.S. would work to consult with NATO allies prior to nuclear release if time permitted. Okay, so yes, the U.S. has to approve it, but it's all based on, time, right? If there's a crisis going on, they're not going to have time to, deliberate and stuff. They're just going to have to launch the fighter jets, But that's pretty interesting. Then they have Russian-Belarus nuclear sharing. I mean, we could spend hours reading this. I don't know if I want to bore you with all of that. Yeah, Little Rocket Man was testing missiles the other day. That's correct. That's right. Shortly after its founding, the Soviet Union first deployed nuclear weapons to East Germany in 1959, and then to other Soviet republics and satellite states. In 1979, NATO estimated that there were between 30 and 35 Soviet nuclear storage sites in Eastern Europe. In at least at least half of which permanently housed nuclear weapons. Wow. Following the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, more than 6,000 nuclear weapons were suddenly left behind on former Soviet territories. Belarus, Kazakhstan, and Ukraine in particular found themselves as owners of some of the world's largest nuclear arsenals. These three countries agreed to transfer all nuclear weapons left on their territories back to Russia and accede to the NPT as non-nuclear weapon states. The last of these nuclear weapons was transferred back to Russia in 1996, and many of the old nuclear storage sites in these countries were mothballed, repurposed, or left abandoned. More than 25 years later, it appears that Russia has resumed the practice of deploying nuclear weapons abroad. In February 2022, only a few days before Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Russian President Vladimir Putin and Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko made numerous statements about equipping Belarusian forces with the capability to employ Russian nuclear weapons, with Lukashenko stating on February 22nd that he would ask Putin to set up a training center for Iskander-M ballistic missiles in Belarus. Then on February 26th, the Belarusian parliament approved a new constitution that removed the previous ban on nuclear weapons on Belarusian territory, blah, blah, blah. So Belarus has Iskander missiles with nukes on them. They also have fighter jets, Sukhoi 25 fighter jets that were upgraded to carry Russian nukes. So that's really what Belarus has. How many they have, we don't know. But Matthew 24 explains that God's people will go through tribulation first. Looks like we're going to get a rapture discussion going now. Benjamin Duckworth says, I believe the rapture is going to be followed by the mushroom cloud. Trisha Mills says the USA has spread the gospel of Jesus Christ more than any other country, is the most charitable and welcoming. Yeah, I think that's true. The U.S. has spread the gospel of Jesus Christ more than any other country. It's true. Yeah, America, we were founded on Christianity. In God we trust is on our dollar. Jarhead Gunny says, I believe Putin rushed to make a call to Iran to tell them not to retaliate. Yeah, that could be. I think that there was some kind of diplomatic event that happened last week. And I think maybe Israel was kind of, maybe there was some secret agreement made that they would allow Israel to strike Iran just for like a face-saving strike to show the world that they struck. And then maybe Iran agreed not to retaliate, and then it was kind of just settled. I don't know. Or Iran is just waiting to launch missiles again. Samantha says, I live in Australia, but yes, America was founded on Christian roots. Putin told Iran to stand down, and Biden told Israel to. Yeah, that could have been it. That could have been it. Yeah. Yeah, because we know that according to the New York Times that we know that Israel abandoned plans. They abandoned plans to carry out a massive strike, so they had a much larger strike planned. Check this plane out, guys, on the border of North and South Korea with no information on it. Some kind of recon plane. Gumib says, I'm still up and watching. So, Australia, Pine Gap. Oh, yeah, Pine Gap is pretty crazy. Yeah, Pine Gap is pretty insane. Where's Pine Gap? Somewhere over here in the middle. Where's that? Pine Gap. Oh, wait. Yeah, I think I heard of that series, Pine Gap. I didn't watch it, but I've heard of it. Yeah, here's Pine Gap. Look at this thing. NSA data center, I believe, right? Look at this. All these globes here. Radar, radomes or whatever. Wow. Look at this. Looks like a bunch of transformers there, or generators or something. It's like a big data center, right? Or listening, NSA listening post. Yeah, make sure you set your notifications so you get notified when I post videos or when I go live. Make sure you set your notifications. Confirm that Iran 02 has landed in Lahore, Iran. Yes, that's probably, I don't know what they're doing over there, but probably just visiting another. Array 28, Toxin 81, and Mojo 12 are all in the same area. Soil Operator, good to see you. Partial listening mode, hope you're having a chill evening. Yeah, I'm having a chill evening. Hope you are too. Let me see, somebody said something about the U.S. West Coast here. Let me see. Mojo 12, Array 28. Yeah, those are refuelers. Toxin 81, that's the C-17. Yeah, it's pretty, something's going on here. It's pretty interesting. Good to see you too, DJH. How do you set your notifications? There's like a little bell icon below the video, and you just click on that bell, and you'll have an option to set notifications for different, you know, whatever you want to have, like full notifications, partial notifications. There's like a little bell icon. Looks like a bell. You click that and you hit all, and you'll get every video I post will notify you. Okay, Rod. Have a good night. Have a good night, Rod. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. So, let me just check the Google Earth here. Let's check this out here, Pine Gap. This is crazy. Just check and see if there's any updates on the situation with the protests or whatever. It's pretty quiet in New York City. Mr. Quattro says 30-minute midnight gym session at the end of a long day. That's a good idea. Steve Quayle says Chinese troops are in in Ukraine on the front line? That could be possible, yeah. I mean, it's very possible. NYPD is going crazy right now. Yeah, I heard. I heard about that. I wonder if we can get a camera from. Oh, looks like we have a missile strike heading for missiles heading for Ukraine right now. Looks like a missile attack on Ukraine. Let me just check and see what that's all about. Ballistic missile threat for 12 regions of Ukraine. Wow. The leader of the Houthis, one of the leaders of the Houthis, is saying that they're going to continue attacks on ships in the Red Sea now. They need to arrest those protesters. I'm done with all this crap. Yeah, me too. It's insane. It's insane that they just let them go like that. It's absolutely crazy. Oh wait, looks like I wasn't sharing my screen here. Here's Pine Gap. Sorry about that. I forgot to share my screen. This is Pine Gap in Australia, Central Australia. This is like a NSA listening post in the middle of Australia. So have I kept up with the earthquakes? Yes, I have been keeping up with the earthquakes. We have a lot of activity in the New Madrid fault line lately. Spectranet is good for watching earthquakes. We have a lot of interesting activity here around Puerto Rico. A lot of cool little quakes here the last couple of days. It's interesting, Puerto Rico is pretty seismically active. It's pretty interesting. A lot of little quakes here around Puerto Rico. Yeah, the New Madrid fault has been very busy the last few days. A lot of little quakes around the New Madrid fault. A lot of these quakes around Puerto Rico. Look at all these little quakes here. Some of them are pretty strong, 3.0s. There was a 5.2 in Taiwan. Look at this. Taiwan is still getting aftershocks and all kinds of stuff here. Looks like a 5.2 recently, like yesterday. There was also a 6.1 and a 6.0 yesterday off the coast of Taiwan. Check that out. Look at all the aftershocks there. Yeah, we're going to see a lot more earthquakes for sure. We're going to see a lot more earthquakes as we get deeper into the end times. Leah Hummel. Thank you, Leah Hummel. If you want to send the recording from Mike from around the world, yeah, send it to me if you can. That would be awesome. That would be great. Cuban spy station is active right now. Yeah, I don't like being told what to do, especially when it's my channel and not yours. So I can call this video whatever the hell I want. If you don't like it, don't watch. Get out of here. If you got a problem with my titles, if you don't like that I use red alert, get out of here. No one's forcing you to watch. And most of all, get a life. Freaking morons. They think that I'm going to just change everything I do because they come in here and complain. Soil operator, which AM mode. Okay, AM mode, got it. Oh, look, we got a Cuban number station now. Look. This is Cuban spy station here. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. Yeah, don't let the chat room door hit you on the butt. Exactly. That's right. Jessa says they should make their own channel if they don't like it. Exactly, yeah, they should make their own channel if they don't like it. See how easy it is to make a YouTube channel. I've been doing this for 7 years. I've made over 5,000 videos. Thousands and thousands of hours of streaming and video making. I've dedicated my whole life to this, and you know, if people think that they can do it, go ahead, you know, try it, see for yourself. So far it's just fuzz, but there were some Cuban spy numbers being broadcasted. Okay. So these are actually Cuban spy stations reading off encrypted messages. Let's listen for a sec. This is cool. Hold on, that's kind of annoying. We'll wait for that to pass. Here we go. I think they're going to talk now.
038.
Oh, that was...
Ocho, 3, 1, 1, 9. Uno, 4, 6, 3, 3. Dos, 3, 2, 6, 7.
All right, I'm not going to make you guys listen to all that, but that's a Cuban number station. They transmit encrypted messages to spies. This is from a Cuban station. Rodney Middleton says some of those sounds remind me of watching old Doctor Who shows and their sound effects. Oh yeah, Doctor Who. That's such a good show, Doctor Who. Doctor Who is the man. I used to watch Doctor Who. What's going on, Duramax? How's it going? The droning noise static requires software to decode the data. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Now that static noise, Soil, if you're still here, is that something that anybody could do, or is it just the Cuban spy that will be able to do it? Someone said 23. What was it? Campbell Clan says Greg has the best channel on YouTube, and I love how he lets people talk about God and religion. Some people will ridicule you for talking about these things. Yeah, I'm a Christian, so I actually welcome people to share their love of Jesus Christ. But that doesn't mean that, you know, only Christians can watch me. But I do like it when people talk about God in the chat. I have no problems with that. I know some channels don't like it. They ban you if you say anything related to religion. We're not about that over here. We're all about free speech here for the most part. Free speech, obviously, you know, hate and misinformation, you know, are not free speech. Propaganda and stuff. Thank you, Concerned Canadian. I appreciate that. I really love your channel. You're the only channel that gives straight info without all the fear-mongering. Yeah, a lot of channels, they fear-monger and they also make up news that's not real. They just make, you know, clickbaiting and stuff. Just not troll speech. Yeah, that's right, Vanessa. Yeah, no troll speech. What's going on, Blue Angel? So yeah, we were just listening to some Cuban spies sending out messages. So that's pretty interesting. Duramax says still waiting for word on the account fix. Hopefully you'll hear back in like the next 2 days. I would imagine it wouldn't take much longer. A gravity bomb is a bomb that you just drop. That's what a gravity bomb is. It's a bomb that you just drop, you know, just like let it fall with gravity. So that's what a gravity bomb is, and that's what we have in NATO and Europe. We have the B-61s. Let me see here. Want to just show you guys more about these nukes in Europe, the B-61s. It's pretty a formidable weapon. It's the B-61. Let me share that with you guys. So that's a B-61 gravity nuclear bomb. That's what it looks like. And they just drop it out of a fighter jet and it just lands, drops on the ground and blows up. Soil operator says anyone can pull the raw OFDM data over the air. However, the data itself is encrypted. Gotcha. Right. Right, that makes sense. It's kind of like EAMs. So basically it's like EAMs, but they're just scrambling them. So rather than hearing every single character, you hear like that fuzz. Yeah, Doctor Who was such a good show. Maybe I'll watch some Doctor Who before I go to sleep tonight. Man, that was such a good show. Doctor Who is just a classic. Yeah, B-61s are no joke. A lot of firepower. So let's just look at the different mods here. So the B-61 Mod 13 is the one that they're building now. and these are made for tactical or strategic use, and they have a max yield of up to 340 kilotons, which is just ridiculous. 340 kilotons, and they can deliver that from an F-16 or F-15, F-18, F-35, and then they're very accurate too. And then we also have the B-61 Mod 11, which is the one that's considered strategic, and that has a yield of 400 kilotons. And we have those right now. They built 50 of them, but they say that there's 12 that are still active. So those would be potentially used against Russia if they went crazy. 12 of these B-61 Mod 11s, which have 400 kilotons of blast. That's insane. I mean, just imagine like 200 or 300 NATO fighter jets just swarming Russia, flying over Belarus loaded with all these B-61s, dropping them all over the place on Russia. That's basically what would happen. That's what they would do. Look how many of these they built. They built like thousands of them, though. They retired a lot, but I mean, they built like hundreds and hundreds of B-61s. It's absolutely insane how many of them they built. Then they still have the Mod 7. They have the Mod 7, which is a strategic one. That one goes up to 340 kilotons, which is ridiculous. It's operatives in the USA, North America. That transmission is broadcasted by the Cuban agency equivalent to our CIA. Yes, I'm aware of that, Soil. Yep, I'm aware of that. Yep. Yes. What was that frequency again, Soil, if you don't mind telling me? Is it 10860, right? 10860. Let's put it on again. I know it's a little annoying, but it's just cool to hear that. So this is a Cuban spy agency, the equivalent of the Cuban CIA, transmitting to spies in the U.S. It's pretty cool to hear that. Hey Greg, have I watched the new Fallout series on Amazon? I did not watch it. It looks really good. I want to watch it. I just haven't had time because of everything going on with Israel, you know. So.
Ocho. Tres, dos, seis, siete, seis, dos, cero, dos, seis, uno. Uno, nueve, uno, cuatro, seis, tres, dos, siete, dos, ocho, seis, dos, cero, seis, uno, ocho, cero, ocho, tres, uno, nueve, uno, cuatro, seis, tres, dos, seis, siete, dos, seis, ocho, seis, dos, cero, dos, seis, uno, ocho, cero, tres, tres, uno, nueve, uno, cuatro, seis, tres, dos, seis, siete, dos, seis, ocho, seis, dos, cero, dos, seis, uno, ocho, cero, tres, ocho.
So yeah, that was a Cuban spy station broadcasting information to Cuban spies in the U.S. and North America. Isn't that interesting? We got a Cuban spy station active today. Remember Friday we had that over-the-horizon radar. Now we have a Cuban spy station. Very interesting. Yeah, I wonder what these spies are doing with these. Hey, soil operator, are you still out there? What do you think? What are these messages for exactly? Like, what are they? Does anybody know what these spy messages are for? Like, what are they telling the spies to do with these messages? Are they giving them instructions? Are they, exchanging information? What? Any idea what that is? Like, what are these messages for? Like, we know EAMs are for nuclear attack options and stuff, and arming missiles and launch codes. But I wonder what kind of message this actually tells them. Like, what are they telling them with these messages? It's a coupon code for Domino's. That's funny. Take those cigars to Fidel Castro. That's funny. Yeah, most likely instructions. Yeah, I'm sure that's what they are. Most likely instructions. They may be calling home. Cuban assisted operatives, Chinese, Russian, Hezbollah in the U.S., North America. So they're not just Cuban. They're Cuban-assisted operatives. So these could be Chinese, Russian, Iranian, maybe, Hezbollah. Wow. So they just used Cuba as like a spy station, as like a dispatcher, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually Cubans. Interesting. Okay. Arnold Schmidt, thanks for tuning in. Drops Family Garden, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Wow, that's interesting. What is my viewpoint on the protests occurring on the college campuses? Oh yeah, what's going on, Buckeye? Yeah, I've already talked about that earlier. If you go back to like the beginning, the first hour, I've already talked about it. But yeah, I think it's disgusting. I think it's disgusting that these protests, which are now turning into riots, and they're blocking Jewish students. A lot of the Jewish students are going to be doing remote learning now. I mean, that's just ridiculous that they have to learn remotely on Passover. I think it's anti-Semitism in plain sight. It's anti-Semitism in plain sight, and nobody's doing anything about it. So that's what I think. Which it's just another sign of the times. It's another sign of the times. Do I have a garden? No, I don't have a garden because I just don't have time to tend to a garden. I have so much that I do, so I just personally don't have time to tend to one. Has Babylon already fallen? Yeah, it's insane that they have to remote learn. Jarhead Gunny says, if you don't like America, get out. Yes, exactly. If you don't like America, get out. This is a pro-America channel. I love my country. Am I a Trump guy? I would say I'm not like a MAGA person, I'm not a MAGA person, but I'm not against him. There's certain things about him I don't like. There's a lot of things about him I like. But I'm not like a MAGA, MAGA for life or anything like that, I'm a conservative, So there's certain things about him I don't like. I would say good amount of, I would say most of the stuff he does or has done, I agree with, like most of it. So overall, I think he's a decent candidate. As far as political stuff, I'm not talking about his personal issues. I'm not talking about his personal life, cheating on his wife or whatever. That's something else. I'm talking about his politics and his leadership. I would say most of what he did I agreed with. There were some things I didn't agree with, particularly he was thinking about raising the minimum age of owning AR-15s to 21, and he was going to pass red flag laws and stuff, which is kind of like a stab in the back to all the gun owners that supported him, including me. So not too fond of that. And Operation Warp Speed, but a lot of stuff, he did a lot of good stuff too. We didn't have any wars when he was president either, because everybody was afraid of him. Putin didn't invade Ukraine. Iran didn't launch missiles at Israel. Hamas didn't attack Israel. All these different countries weren't acting out. So Iran 06 is heading to St. Petersburg. Interesting. Okay, let me check that out. Thank you, Vanessa. I appreciate it. I got the EAMs back. If I don't have a garden, am I going to depend on freeze-dried food? I have freeze-dried food and canned food. The thing with a garden is somebody like me, I eat a lot of food, I'm not like some 150-pound, I'm not like some dainty female or something that, I can eat like one pepper or like a orange for the whole day and that satisfies me, I would need like acres and acres of gardens to feed just me. I have a huge appetite, so for me personally, it's just not super practical. If I have like a couple of tomatoes or a couple of potatoes, it's not going to really last me too long, So it would have to be a pretty serious thing. And Rodney Middleton says, I'm a 200-plus pounder that eats like a horse. Elk short ribs sound good about now. Yeah, that's right. Elk short ribs. Freeze-dried food is you need electricity to keep it freezed. That's funny. No, you should have a combination of freeze-dried food and canned food. That's what I have. And I have trout streams all around me. Pennsylvania is full of streams like everywhere. I mean, there's just streams all over the place, and they're all filled with trout. I could literally stand in the stream and put a net there and catch like a bunch of trout after an hour or two. If I wanted to, I wouldn't want to do that because then you're relying on, a lot of different things. But there's a lot of wild game populations here. I got deer, I have bear, I have elk. There's a lot of small game all over the place. So, and I'm a very good hunter. So that's another thing that I would use to my advantage. Okay, Night Stalker, have a good night. Elks are huge. Yeah, the elks are big. Moose are big. Frankie says PA, born in Allentown while parents were visiting. Allentown has some nice theme parks there. Don't they have that big theme park over there? What is it called? I can't remember which one it is. Right on the side of the highway in Allentown. Let me check and see the flight tracker here. It's interesting that Combat Sentinel plane landed already. It looks like it landed. Oh, we have looks like we have a Cobra ball in the air. Check it out. We have a Cobra ball airborne. This is a missile detector plane. But they always do these loops here. I think this is just calibration. They calibrate their sensors here. They always do these weird half circle loops. Concerned Canadian says you should try the beef jerky made in Alberta. It's amazing. Oh, I'm sure it's really good. Yeah, I'm sure it's really good. Yeah, I love jerky. I love jerky. Someone said horse meat. I would never eat horse meat. That's disgusting. I'm sorry. That's just gross. I like horses too much. That's weird. Deborah says, Greg, Keystone Meats is a great choice for canned meats. Yes, I have a bunch of Keystone Meats. They're really good, yeah. They're really good because they don't have a lot of sodium, and yeah, they're really good. Let's see, Iran 06. Oh yeah, interesting. Looks like it. Oh yeah, it's going to St. Petersburg. Check this out. We have an Iranian government plane going to St. Petersburg. Isn't that interesting? Jarhead Gunny says, no one ever better burn a flag in front of me. Yeah, that really annoys me, is when people burn flags. Good night, Jarhead. Have a good one. Thanks for tuning in. God bless. Yeah, Vanessa says, I hate that too. Yeah, it's really frustrating to see people curse out our country. There's a lot of people that curse our country, you know. It's really sad. It's really sad, you know. This country provides so many things for people, and people just disrespect it, you know. It's really unfortunate, and it does a disservice to our country by doing that, you know, by constantly putting down your own country. I mean, it just does a disservice. It makes us look weak to our enemies, you know. Makes us look like we're not united. This is interesting here off the coast of South Korea. This plane here with no flight information on it. Yeah, I love horses. Horses are so cool. I absolutely love horses. Yeah, no country is perfect, you know. No country is perfect. I'm not saying America's perfect or anything, but I'd say we're pretty good, you know, compared to a lot of other countries out there. DJ H says, I ate it in the military. Didn't know that's what it was until after I had some. Oh man. That sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. That's traumatic. Have I already shared the news about the food warehouses in DC on fire and the train derailment? No, I haven't heard about that. I was sharing the news about the data center in the DC area. Another train derailment in Ohio. Wow. It's crazy. Spoofed registration. Yeah, it could be. The U.S. has turned its back on God when we allow gay marriage. Yeah, that's true. But there's a lot of other countries that did that too. So, that doesn't mean that us as citizens are all supporting that, you know. I heard rattlesnake tastes like chicken. Yeah, I haven't had rattlesnake before. I heard that it's kind of chewy and rubbery because rattlesnakes don't have any fat. So the meat is just like it's so lean, there's no fat. It's really like kind of dry and rubbery is what I heard. But I've heard, yeah, alligator. I heard alligator tastes amazing. I heard alligator's really good. Curious Life says, you were talking about the Amish. I grew up close to Hershey and Lancaster. When I was a teenager, the Amish teen boys would hang out at the amusement park. Not sure they were supposed to be. Oh, that's funny. What's going on, Z Cali? It's Rattlesnake Festival season soon. Tastes like snake with a hint of chicken. Interesting. Gator tail is really good. Ew. Gator tail. That's funny. I have had alligator and turtle. Tastes like tough chicken. Okay. Okay, yeah, I mean, if you're hungry enough, you know, it's protein. So, you know, protein is it's important, so. Yeah, I've never had frog legs before. Kangaroo meat? Ew. I don't think I could ever eat kangaroo meat. Kangaroos, horses, stuff like that. It's not for me. A cheetah powder, it's ground up bugs and crickets. Oh, that's good to know. A cheetah powder. That's nasty. Yeah, I've heard that they do that. That's gross. Yeah, you're talking about deep fried alligator. Yeah, they have the deep fried alligator here too. In the fairs over here. Ew, earthworms, yuck. Gross. Yeah, you'll never see me eating bugs. I'll never eat bugs. I don't care. I'll kill something and eat it first before I eat a bug. Roo meat will make you hop around. That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, I'm sure a rattlesnake tastes good. I bet rattlesnake if you marinate it. I'm sure rattlesnake meat is good if you marinate it properly and season it. You know, let it marinate for a while so it's not dry. I'm sure it tastes good. I'll stick to my dehydrated foods and my deer meat. Yeah, I'll never eat bugs. You know, another thing about eating bugs is, you know, bugs, they have a lot of parasites in them. You know, you see a lot of these, like, survival show hosts talking about eating bugs, and, you know, they're eating all these bugs when they go on these survival shows, and they have a lot of parasites, you know, unless you cook. You have to cook a lot of those bugs, unless it's like ants or something, but a lot of bugs, they have parasites in them. You gotta actually cook them. You know, you gotta actually cook those bugs. You can't just eat them raw. You know, like a raw worm or something, because that's just a way to get sick with some nasty parasite like a liver fluke or something. You don't want to get a liver fluke. Yeah, eating bugs daily cause nutrition issues. My brother said they had to eat snakes in the Vietnam Special Forces. Oh, I'm sure. It's probably a ton of snakes in Vietnam. Chitin in the crunchy exoskeletons gives you cancer. I'll post a link about it. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know it gives you cancer, but it makes sense because it's not really digestible. No problem, Tim B. I'm glad you enjoy the company. Brody Jake, thank you so much. Yeah, no kings and kingdoms. Right, I agree, no kings and kingdoms. But there's a lot of people that they say, like you're saying, no kings and kingdoms, which I agree. But there's some people that will say, oh, you shouldn't be loyal to your country, and they'll bash America, and they'll say, oh, America's just the worst place in the world, and then they'll say that Putin is the savior, and that Russia is the best country in the world, and America's the worst, and then after that they'll say, oh, but you can't have kings and kingdoms, you know. But so how is that, you know? That's like, it's like hypocritical, you know. Sam says, I enjoy hearing your calm voice. Yeah, eating a raw slug is a bad idea. It's a really bad idea. That's a good way to get sick. Soil radio operator, don't get a liver fluke during SHTF. That's funny. That's a good one. Yeah, you don't want to get liver flukes. You know, when I was going to school, I actually went to forestry school, and you know, and I had, because I was in forestry school, I had to learn about like biology, which wasn't really interesting to me, but they required it, and you have to learn about like trees and the species and all that. And we had the zoology class, you know, and I remember one part of the class we learned about like all the different parasites, and I remember they had this lab at the college I went to where they had all these like liver flukes and like just all the weirdest parasites, and I was looking at them in the microscope, and it was just some of these parasites, it's like they're like aliens. I mean, like this, and they're really destructive to the body. They bore into your liver, or they eat your brain, or they bore into your eye or something like that. I mean, it's just absolutely nasty, you know. So yeah, you don't want to get any of those. Thoroughly cook everything after SHTF. So yeah, Dorney Park. Dorney Park is in Allentown. That's correct. Yeah, Dorney Park is cool. I like Dorney Park. I've been there when I was a kid. Nancy Shippen says your voice is very calming, much needed. Yeah, I try to be as calm as possible. Z Cali says we cannot digest chitin. It literally sits in your gut and gives you parasites and rare cancers. Yeah, that's good to know. It's good to know. It's like eating shells. I mean, it's probably similar to like if you ate a walnut shell, you know. Concerned Canadian says people in the Canadian Arctic eat seal eyeballs. Yeah, I've heard about that. I've heard about it. That's pretty, I don't know. I'm sure it's probably not that tasty, I would imagine. What's going on, Jake Henry? Yeah, raw slugs have parasites. So do raw snails. Yep. So did culinary come through? No, culinary did not come through. Ryan Kellner, thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Hope you're having a good start of your week. Thank you very much, Ryan. When there's Skymaster messages rolling for 8 hours straight. Yeah, that was insane. That was a crazy night. That was just insane. Steve C says, when I was donating plasma last week, the lady who cleaned me up was at the mall I worked at, and they were going to close it down because stores thought SHTF. Oh, wow. Interesting. Is that when they put all the bases on Force Protection Charlie? That was when all the 911 centers went down in South Dakota and like 13 states. Look at this Iran government plane going to St. Petersburg. That's pretty concerning. So I think I'm going to wind down the live stream, guys. I'm going to try to get some sleep and recharge for the rest of the week, because I have a feeling the rest of the week, later this week, I think it's going to get crazy. So I'm going to cut it off now. I actually wasn't even going to stay this long. I was just planning to do 1 or 2 hours, but it's always fun to just hang out with you guys. I enjoy it very much. The mall I work at is an emergency shelter in the basement. Oh, that's awesome. That's really good. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, see, you got it made. So you know where to go when there's nuclear war. That's where I would go. Nick It Off says you're doing good. Good to see you, Nick It Off. Good night, Sky Painter. Who's in St. Petersburg? It's the Iranian government plane is flying to St. Petersburg. There's an Iranian VIP plane going to St. Petersburg in Russia right now. So that's pretty weird. Especially considering everything that's happened. DJ H says, it's also great to hang out with you. Thank you, DJ H. Yeah, I could spend all night here hanging out with you guys. I actually enjoy it, but I gotta catch some sleep, because I didn't sleep enough the last few days. Rob Dinsmore, so was Israel going to nuke or EMP as they were going to destroy Tehran? Yeah, the rumor is they were going to nuke or EMP Iran, and then they were going to hit targets in Tehran. They had several targets around the capital that they selected. So that's probably why we saw everything happen last week, because they were going to strike the capital, and then something happened at the last minute and they changed their mind and they opted for a limited strike instead. That's why I think we heard all the Sky Masters last week, you know. Mr. Quattro, no problem. I appreciate all your support. Yeah, I can do a closing prayer for sure. I can do a closing prayer. Charles and Christina says, I love hanging out with everyone. Thank you, Chris Dunlop. I appreciate it. I'm still trying to confirm the red heifer. I'll try to confirm that for you, and I'll update you tomorrow. Someone said headline is Israel is Putin rushed to move nukes to the line. Oh, interesting. Mark Houston says black bear and elk season starts in Missouri. Oh, wow, that's interesting already that early, huh? So, I'm just going to say a quick prayer before I go. Dear God, please watch over us this week. Keep us safe. Protect our families from evil. Keep us healthy. And protect all the people that are suffering from war around the world. Please protect the people of Ukraine, the people of Israel, and all the people around the world suffering from war. In Jesus' name, amen. So that's pretty much it, guys. Hope you have a good rest of your night, and I'll be back tomorrow with more breaking news. So take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.